Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name's Shuri and welcome to another installment of just a long list of books that we're going to talk about. This is going to be my most anticipated books of 2025. I did this last year also. I don't even know how many books are on the list. I haven't counted, but I was downloading the covers last night and I was like, wow, this is a lot of books. We're just gonna go through them, and I like doing this because I feel like we all want to know, the book people, we all want to know like what books are coming out in the year, and we want to get excited. We get excited about these books, and so I like to just do a video, even if it's a book that like I maybe have not read the series yet or I'm not on yet. I like to just talk about them. I know that you guys are also excited for these books, so I just love being excited for books, and that's just what I want this video to be, a video where we're just excited about books. So I'm obviously going to start. I have my notes, of course, because we see this phone and notes in every single video that I'm sitting down and talking to the camera, but I might also use my computer to look up some things, because what I should have done is put like all of these books on like a Goodreads list, and then we could have just, you know, had them. The first book is called Single Player by Tara Tai, and it's a queer romance. I think it's enemies to lovers. It's two video game creators go head to head in this delightful queer enemies to lovers workplace romance debut, and I just love the cover. Also, I love books about video games, and I love books about women in tech. Love it, love it. I don't know what it is, but it's one of my favorite genres, video game books. There's something about it. There's something about it for me that I really like. So a book that comes out is called Homeseeking that I'm really interested in. I actually just got this one. It's by Carissa Chen, and it sounds awesome. It says an epic and intimate tale of one couple across 60 years as world events pull them together and apart, illuminating the Chinese diaspora and exploring what it means to find home far from your homeland. I just think that sounds so interesting. I also love books that span a long time, and I kind of love books that play with time and where people are connected at like different time periods. I'm actually really excited to read this book. Adrienne Young is coming out with a new book called A Sea of Unspoken Things, and I don't feel like I've read any of her books recently. I know I have her other one, Songs for Forgetting, I think that's what it's called, and I was looking at it today on my bookshelf and I was like, oh, I really want to read this. And so she's coming out with another book. It says a woman investigates her brother's mysterious death while coming to terms with her own haunting past in this atmospheric novel from the New York Times. Yeah, The Unmaking of June Farrell. I've also noticed that the last 3 books of hers have all had like similar book covers, so I do wonder if they are connected in some way. Another book coming out is called Temple of Swoon. I actually have, I think it's like the first book in the series. It's called, I'm looking at it on my bookshelf, it says Raiders of the Lost Heart. And it's all play on like Indiana Jones. And I haven't read the first one, but we're now getting like another one in that world. And I just love the covers, and I love like an adventure story. And so I definitely want to get into those books this year in 2025. Fiona Davis is coming out with a new book. I've actually never read anything by her because I think she writes historical fiction, but it's called The Stolen Queen. A new addictive novel that will transport you from New York City's most glamorous party to the labyrinth streets of Cairo and back. So Egypt, 1936. An anthropology student, Charlotte Cross, is offered a coveted spot on an archaeological dig in Egypt's Valley of the Kings. She leaps at the opportunity, but after an unbearable tragedy strikes, Charlotte knows her future will never be the same. Then it jumps to New York, 1978. 18-year-old Annie Jenkins is thrilled when she lands an opportunity to work for iconic former Vogue fashion editor Diana Freeland, who's in the midst of organizing the famous Met Gala, hosted at the museum and known across the city as the party of the year. Though Annie soon realizes she'll have her work cut out for her, scrambling to meet Diana's capricious demands and exacting standards. While Charlotte, now leading a quiet life as the associate curator of the Met's celebrated Department of Egypt, wants little to do with the upcoming gala. She's consumed with her research on Hathorkari. Okay, so maybe that's the girlie that's like on the front. A rare female pharaoh dismissed by most other Egyptologists as unimportant. Okay, yeah, so not about Cleopatra, but it's about Hathorkari. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's the girlie that's on the cover of the book. And I don't know why, but this book sounds really interesting, and I think it's already out. Yeah, it came out January 7th. It sounds so interesting, and I actually really want to read this. Another book coming out is called The Note it's by Alifair Burke. Alifair Burke, I think that's how you pronounce their name. It says a vacation in the Hamptons goes terribly wrong for three friends with a complicated history. So I kind of love the idea of like friends that have secrets and weird kind of things going on, and I think they like go on a vacation and something happens and now they're like tangled up in this like missing persons case, and I don't know, I think that's really interesting. Another book coming out, it's called Playworld. It's by Adam Ross and it takes place in the 1980s, and I had said this year that I wanted to read books set in like the 80s or 90s or even 70s or 60s, not necessarily set in present day. And this is a big and big-hearted novel, one enthralling, transformative year in the life of a child actor coming of age in a bygone Manhattan. I think it seems interesting. I guess the only quote though that I'm like, I don't know about this, says, in the fall of 1980, when I was 14, a friend of my parents named Naomi Shaw fell in love with me. She was 36. Oh, I'm 36. That's weird. A mother of two and married to a wealthy man. Like so many things that happened to me that year, it didn't seem strange at the time. What the fuck is this book about? Like, I don't... Weird. We know I hate age gap, and that's weird. That's weird. But the book is getting good praise. So I don't know. I don't know. I want to see it. And right now it has a 4.32 on Goodreads. A lot of people are rating it 5 stars. So I don't know. Alice Feeney is coming out with a new book called Beautiful Ugly. I think I've only read one thing by Alice Feeney, but I'd like to read another. And I think this is about a guy who his wife goes missing, and then a couple years later, I think a year later, he goes on a trip somewhere and he sees someone that looks just like his wife. And so he's like, the fuck is happening here? Watermoon, honestly, it's the cover for me. Like, it's the cover for me. A woman inherits a pawn shop. Oh, okay, it's the cover in the description. A woman inherits a pawn shop where you can sell your regrets and then embarks on a magical journey when a charming young physicist wanders into the shop in this dreamlike and enchanting fantasy novel. This sounds so cool, and the cover is so fucking beautiful. This sounds so good. I'm excited. Nandi Okorafor is also coming out with a new book called Death of the Author that looks really good. I like how it just says the future of storytelling is here. Sounds great. There's a book called The In-Between Bookstore that I actually saw on someone's like other anticipated list. A poignant and enchanting novel about a magical bookstore that transports a trans man through time and brings him face to face with his teenage self, offering him the chance of a lifetime to examine his life and identity to find a new beginning. There's something about stories where, because you can't change the past. So there's something about stories for me where you can go back in time and get another chance to not really right or wrong, because it's always, if you change something in the past, like something in the future will get fucked up. That's just how it is, butterfly effect. But there's something about this idea of going back in time and getting to, like, okay, for instance, in All of Us Strangers, you know, he somehow finds a magical connection to go back and talk to his parents. And I think that's like a way to work out some kind of your trauma or whatever it may be. And I think this story is really interesting to go back to your teenage self when you're still trying to figure yourself out and like talk to yourself. I think that's so interesting. There's this other book, I think it's like a true crime book. It has 4 stars on Goodreads, but it's called The Secret History of the Rape Kit, a true crime story. And I think it's about this woman who, I don't know if I can read this, to be honest, but it's about this woman, Marty Goddard, volunteered at a crisis hotline counseling girls who had been abused by their fathers, teachers, uncles. And so then Marty goes on a mission to answer, why were so many sexual predators getting away with these crimes? By the end of the decade, she had launched a campaign pushing hospitals and police departments to collect evidence of sexual assault and treat survivors with dignity. She designed a new kind of forensics tool, the rape kit, and new practices around evidence collection that spread across the country. Yet even as Marty fought for women's rights, she allowed a man to take credit for her work. Like, what? What? This is like, okay, so this is a trigger. So when I talk about triggers in other movies and books and I don't mention the trigger, normally this is a trigger. And so reading a book about this, I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I think it's very interesting, a book about like the rape kit, because I think that that is so important. I hate that it's something that we need in society, in this world, but to understand where it came from, I think that that's very interesting. And I feel like I know it's going to be a really hard book to read. I guess Lynn Fargo is coming out with a new book called The Favorites, and she wrote They'll Never Learn, which I thought was okay, but she's writing a book called The Favorites. It's set in the world of ice skating, which is really cool, and it's a romance. To the world they were a scandal, to each other an obsession. An epic love story set in the sparkling savage sphere of elite figure skating about a woman determined to carve her own path on and off the ice. Actually, that sounds kind of great. Onyx Storm, the third book in the Fourth Wing series, comes out. On my list, it says January. I'm still in the middle of book 1. So I don't know if I'll even be reading that series this year or finishing that series. I'm still in the middle of book 1. Frida McFadden's coming out with a new book called The Crash. I've read the last like couple Frida McFadden books. I think I've read 3. I think I read 3 by her last year. Never Lie, which that one's really good. Never Lie, The Boyfriend, which was not good, and The Teacher, which was okay. And I've read The Housemaid, obviously, which I actually really liked. So I've read a good amount of books by her at this point. I've read The Inmate, and so I'm still giving her a chance. I did not like The Boyfriend. I did not think it was that good, but The Crash does sound good. So I will definitely be trying to read that. There's another book coming out called The Blob. One, I love the cover. It's called The Blob, A Love Story. And from what I heard about it, it's about a woman who creates like the perfect boyfriend from this like blob. Sounds great. Next book is called Penitence. I wanted this list to be a good mix of like romance, mystery thriller, literary fiction, because I want to read more literary fiction next year. And so I wanted to just make this like a good mix of them. And so Penitence, it's by Kristen Koval. It says, for readers of Anne Patchett and Celeste Ng, Penitence is a poignant exploration of love and forgiveness. It's a suspenseful, addictive page-turner filled with literary insight that compels readers to consider whether each of us is more than the worst thing we've ever done. The next book is called Good Dirt. It's by the same author who wrote Black Cake, and I think they made a show of Black Cake online? I don't even know. The daughter of an affluent Black family pieces together the connection between a childhood tragedy and a beloved heirloom in this moving novel from the New York Times bestselling author Black Cake. There's another book called Too Soon by Betty Shamihe, I think. It says 35-year-old Arabella is a New York theater director whose dating and career prospects are drying up. Is offered an opportunity to direct a risque cross-dressing interpretation of a Shakespeare classic in the West Bank. Oh, that's all I gotta know. Like, I just like things about Shakespeare. So that was interesting to me. Out of the Woods, which is by the same person that wrote Out on a Limb. I started reading Out on a Limb and I think it's really cute. And so I wanted to read Out of the Woods. Another book is called Memorial Days. This is by Geraldine Brooks, Memorial Days. A heartbreaking and beautiful memoir of sudden loss and a journey to peace. Oh, okay, that's right. So it's a memoir and it's about grief. Many cultural and religious traditions expect those who are grieving to step away from the world. In contemporary life, we are more often met with red tape and to-do lists. This is exactly what happened to Geraldine Brooks when her partner of more than 3 decades, just 60 years old, and to her knowledge, vigorously and healthy, collapsed and died on a Washington, D.C. sidewalk. I'm interested to hear other people's take on grief. It says Memorial Days is a portrait of a larger-than-life man and a timeless love between souls that exquisitely captures the joy, agony, and mystery of life. I think this is going to be really sweet and profound, and I think I'm probably going to cry. Christina Forrest is coming out with a new book called The Love Lyric. I'm actually reading right now her other book, The Partner Plot, and what I just found out is that her 3 books, so The Partner Plot, The Neighbor Favor, and then this new one, The Love Lyric, are about the 3 sisters. And I didn't realize that, because in this book they do mention 3 sisters, and I don't remember which one is first. Like, I don't know if The Partner Plot, I actually think The Neighbor Favor is first now that I think about it. So I'm actually reading them out of order. I'm reading The Partner Plot right now. I think The Neighbor Favor I should have read first, which is fine. And so I think this third one is called The Love Lyric, and I think it follows the third. I think it's Iris, Violet, and Lily, I think are their names. Right now I'm reading Violet because the guy has a tattoo of a violet on him. Yeah, so the next book is, I think the first book is Lily, maybe, and then, okay, yeah, so the first book's Lily, second book is Violet, which is the one I'm reading now, and then the third book coming out, The Love Lyric, that is going to follow Iris. Harlem Rhapsody comes out on February. Oh, so we're in February now. So Harlem Rhapsody comes out in February. Someone I follow on Instagram is actually reading this right now, and she's saying that she really liked it, and then towards the end she's getting a little bit more frustrated with it, but I think the cover is fantastic, and I don't even know exactly what it's about at this point, but the cover is wonderful. Ali Hazelwood's coming out with a new book, and we all know that I love Ali Hazelwood. I've read everything by her except I think the 3 little novellas that she put out. I even read Bride. So she's coming out with a book. It's called Deep End. A competitive diver and an ace swimmer jump into forbidden waters in a steamy college romance. So we'll see, because Love Theoretically was okay and Not in Love. That's the book. That's the most recent book she wrote, which I thought was okay. I actually thought I like the male character better than the female character in that, and then Bride. But I need to read Check and Mate, and I need to read, like, she just came out with a little like Christmas novella, so I need to read those. But she's coming out with Deep End, and I'm excited for that. There's a new horror coming out called Listen to Your Sister, and it says for fans of Jordan Peele films, and that's all I needed to know. Like, I really didn't need to know anything else. A book called Needy Little Things is coming out, and it's a YA book. In this debut speculative YA mystery, a black teen with premonition-like powers must solve her friend's disappearance before she finds herself in the same danger. Love that. A book called A Killing Cold is coming out. It's by the same author of What Lies in the Woods, and I read that one last year during a book vlog, like a vlog when I was in California, and that was like 2 years ago, and I actually really liked it. Yeah, I really liked this book. So yeah, it came out in January of 2023. Yeah, I read it in 2023 when I went home. I remember that. A woman invited to her, oh, I love books like this. A woman invited to her wealthy fiance's family retreat realizes they are hiding a terrible secret, and that she's been there before. What does that mean, she's been there before? There's a book I read that has similar vibes, where this girl goes to like meet her like boyfriend's family, and they just have some secrets. A book called You Are Fatally Invited is coming out. I like books involving like authors and writers, so I think this is like right up my alley. An exclusive thriller writers retreat, I love writers retreats, hosted on a private island turns lethal when one of the authors is found murdered in this twisty locked room mystery. Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales comes out. I still have not read the first book. I have the first book only. I have not read it, but I need to, because I've heard it's so cute. So I need to read that. Rebel Witch, which is the second book in the Heartless Hunter series, which I have that book on my Kindle and I need to read it. I've really gotten away from like romantasy, so maybe this year will be the year of getting back into it. I don't know. I'm gonna keep you know, the vibes open this year for books, and I want to be able to consume just anything that I feel like it. I'm such a mood reader, I've realized, and I need to stop fighting against that and just read whatever the hell I want, because I try and like put myself in a box like, let's do a TBR, and I never stick to it anymore. So I just need to be open to mood reading and just accept that if I'm not, I should just accept that if I'm not reading every book on my shelf, that's okay, but at least I'm reading. So there's a book called Death Takes Me by Cristina Rivera Garza, translated by Robin Myers and Sarah Booker. It says, from the Pulitzer Prize winning author of Liliana's Invisible Summer, a dreamlike, genre-defying novel about a professor and a detective seeking justice in a world suffused with gendered violence. So I don't really know much of what this book is about, but it says, when a professor named Cristina Rivera Garza, oh, interesting, stumbles upon the corpse of a man in a dark alley, she finds a stark warning scrawled on the brick wall beside the body, written in coral nail, "Beware of me, my love, beware of the silent woman in the desert." Don't know what that is. After reporting the crime to the police, the professor becomes the lead informant of the case, led by a detective with a newfound obsession with poetry and a long list of failures on her back. But what has the professor really seen? As more bodies of men are found across the city, the detective tries to decipher the meaning of the poems and if they are facing a dark stream of violence spreading throughout the city. I don't know. That sounds interesting to me, honestly. Next book's called Deep Cuts. I searched deep cuts yesterday. Don't ever Google deep cuts if you need to be very specific when you Google deep cuts, okay? Because a lot of the pictures were blurred out, thank God, because I don't want to see any pictures of deep cuts. But this book is called Deep Cuts, and it's by Holly Brickley, and it takes place, it sounds like, in the fall of 2000, which I love books. Again, I love things that are not set in present day. I mean, 2000s, very specific time in our lives, and it seems like it's one of those books about musicians and people that love music, and it says it's a Friday night in the campus bar in Berkeley, fall of 2000. That's like, I feel like that's like a vibe, you know? And this is the vibe that I want to read about. The Talent comes out. I thought that the premise of this was so interesting. It's about, I think, 5 Best Actress nominees during Oscar season, which is so fitting. But it says, okay, Hollywood Wives meets a visit from the Goon Squad. In this emotional debut novel from Variety chief correspondent and a moderator of the Actors on Actors series about a group of actresses confronting their careers, their secrets, and each other throughout one turbulent awards season. I feel like I want to read this now because the Oscars and stuff are going to come out. It comes out February 25th and the Oscars are March 2nd. And so I feel like this book is like perfect. It's gonna come out like right at the perfect time, and I don't know what it is, but I'm really excited about this book. The Love Simulation comes out. I saw this on another person's like anticipated reads, and I think I had another book by her, but I don't know if I still have it. But it's about like 2 teachers, I think, and there's some space things involved. A passionate vice principal and a guarded science teacher compete for a grand prize only to realize their budding relationship might be the real jackpot. Wild Dark Shore comes out, and I keep seeing this on so many people's lists this year for anticipated books. It says a family on a remote island, a mysterious woman washed ashore and a rising storm on the horizon. I guess this woman washes ashore and she has secrets, and I think it's gonna turn their little tiny island into just like a chaotic place. The next book is called The Unworthy, and this book is by the same author who wrote Tender is the Flesh. I love Tender is the Flesh. If you haven't read Tender is the Flesh and you have a stomach that's like you can handle stuff like that, I would read it. So I'm definitely gonna read The Unworthy. Oathbound comes out this year, which I originally thought that series was gonna be a duology, but now it's a trilogy, and I still need to read the second book. So maybe I'll read it closer to, I actually want to reread the series because I want to reread Legend Born, and then I need to reread the second one, and then I'll read the third one. So I basically just need to read the whole series. There's a book called They Bloom at Night, and I have the first book by this author. It's called She is a Haunting. Have I read it? No, but I feel like I will really vibe with this author's work because she writes horror, like YA horror, and her covers, they have just really prominent faces on them, and they're all so haunting. And as you can see in this cover, it's also just as haunting as the first book, She is a Haunting. So I'm just gonna put them both here and like, you'll see what I mean. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie, I hope I pronounced that right, is coming out with a new book called Dream Count. A searing, exquisite new novel, a story of 4 women and their loves, longings, and desires. I'm there. I haven't even read Americana, but it is on my list this year to read. Wild Side by Elsie Silver is coming out. I have not read anything by Elsie Silver, but I know the internets love her, okay? And I need to read like her cowboy romance series. I want to read them. That's on my list this year of series that I want to read and see if I even vibe with her. But she's coming out with a new book in like the second series to that like original cowboy romance series that she had. So maybe I'll get around to this if I actually read the other books in the series. This book called Promise Me Sunshine is coming out this year. I saw this on someone else's anticipated, and I really love the cover, first of all. Beautiful cover. Okay, it says, grieving the loss of her best friend, a young woman's life is turned upside down when she meets a grumpy stranger who swears he can help her live again in this heartwarming slow burn romance by the author of Ready or Not. I remember Ready or Not last year. I did not read that one, but I think it had a pregnancy trope. I'm still debating how I feel about pregnancy tropes in romance books, but I don't know. I love this cover and it sounds good. I don't know how I feel about the idea of a grumpy stranger who swears he can help her live again. Like, in what way? I guess I'll have to read the book to find out. And probably my most anticipated read this year, Sunrise on the Reaping. Like, I will be going to the bookstore, getting this book the first day it comes out. Literally, my friend got me a gift card for my birthday, and I don't think I'm going to use it until this book comes out, and that comes out in March. So I'm gonna save that gift card until this book comes out because I need this book in my hands right now. It's so funny, my Hunger Games trajectory, because when I first read the books years ago when they came out, I was like, they're okay. I reread them as an adult in my 30s, and my God, are these books amazing. Probably my favorite YA series, besides Maze Runner and Caraval, and Sabaa Tahir series. But like Hunger Games is literally like that girl. And I was so blind to see that she was that girl from the very beginning. The movie's also just amazing. Oh, hello. The movie's also just so amazing. So anything having to do with Hunger Games, like I'm there. I'm there. So I will be, you will see this book on my channel the day it comes out. The day it comes out. The Buffalo Hunter is coming out. have I read anything by Stephen Graham Jones? I don't know. I may have read like one book by him, maybe not. Nope. No, I'm looking at his books. I don't think I have. But that's okay. He's somebody that I want to read very much. And he's coming out with this new book called The Buffalo Hunter. And it says a chilling historical horror novel set in the American West in 1912, following a Lutheran priest who transcribes the life of a vampire who haunts the fields of the Blackfeet Reservation looking for justice. He had me at vampire. This book will bury me by Ashley Winstead. I loved In My Dreams I Hold a Knife, and so I will pretty much read anything by Ashley Winstead. I think I have one book of hers I need to read still. Yeah, because I read The Last Housewife and I read In My Dreams I Hold a Knife. Last Housewife was a little weird, but I did like it. I need to read Midnight is the Darkest Hour, but I'm really excited for her new book. This book will bury me. I don't even know what it's about, if I'm being honest. Oddly enough, in the time of Wicked, Gregory Maguire is putting out a new book called Elfie, which is, and I think I have an arc of it, but it's literally Elfie when she's young. So like we get a little bit of her when she's young, and then she pretty much like goes to school and she's at the shiz years. We don't get, even in the book, like we don't get a lot of her childhood. And so I think this book is all about her childhood. So before the shiz years. I think the Wicked book is interesting. It's a bit dark. And I think that like a lot of people, if you're fans of like Wicked, the musical, if that's like your only way into Elfie and all that, then, or Elphaba, then you're gonna have a different idea of her and Wicked as a whole than if you like read the books, because the book is so dark and it's so much more weird. And I remember being like, oh, this movie is like uplifting in a way compared to the book, because the book is like much darker and much weirder. So it's very interesting that we're getting a Elfie book, and I do wonder if that was planned, which I'm sure it was, because publishing is always planned. So I think that's actually kind of smart. Say You'll Remember Me is coming out by Abby Jimenez. I have yet to read an Abby Jimenez book, but I'm going to this year. Mark my words, I will read an Abby Jimenez book this year, because I hear literally nothing but good things about her books. And I really do think I would like them a lot. I don't know what has like held me back from reading them. I think I'm gonna do an author spotlight with Abby Jimenez. Maybe she can be my first author spotlight. I'm really trying to figure out who I want to be my first author spotlight. This book called The Snares that I kind of like stumbled upon. I kind of like the cover, but it's set during 9/11, and it's about a Punjabi American lawyer at a mysterious new federal intelligence agency fights to keep his career, marriage, and morality intact in this gripping post 9/11 drama from a thrilling new voice. Olivia Blake is coming out with a new book called Gifted and Talented. I don't think I've read anything by Olivia Blake, but I really want to read One for My Enemy this year. That's like, I'm determined to read that book. I'm probably going to read it very soon. And I started with Alone with You in the Ether like 3 years ago and have yet to finish it. I really want to actually get into her this year. Maybe she'll be another author spotlight that I could do. That could be really interesting. The Last Session comes out in April, and I loved her last book. Okay, Julie Bartz. I actually just got an arc of this. I forgot. The Last Session. I loved The Writing Retreat. I love The Writing Retreat. I'm excited for her next book. It says it's a white-knuckled locker room thriller about a social worker who, after coming face to face with her dark past, must infiltrate a mysterious wellness center in the deserts of New Mexico. I'm seated. I can't wait, because The Writing Retreat was like, I think one of my like 5-star reads when I read it, because I like to read thrillers. I feel like I don't read enough of them. I feel like I don't read enough of any genre. I feel like I read a little bit of each. And I remember picking up that book and being like, oh, I actually really love this. So I'm excited to read this book. Really, really excited. Another book coming out is called Sky Daddy. From what I heard, this is about a girl who is in love with a plane, like an actual plane. We'll see. There's a book called Happy Land coming out. I love the cover. That's like pretty much what drew me in, I will say. Happy Land by Dolan Perkins Valdez. It's time we name our kingdom, he shouted over the wind. I say we call this place Happy Land. If this ain't the land of happy people, then where is it? Why not create our heaven right here on earth? In the hills of Appalachia, there once existed a land ruled by a king and queen. Inspired by memories of African kingdoms, a community of formerly enslaved men and women grasped freedom on mountain land they owned, but freedom doesn't always last forever. Fearless by Lauren Roberts is about to come out. I still need to read the second one, but I know people are excited for that book. And I did like Powerless, so I need to read the second and third when they come out. Vanishing World by Sayaka Murata is coming out next year, or this year. I forget, we're already in 2025. This year. I read Convenience Store Woman by her. I actually listened to Convenience Store Woman on audiobook, and I thought it was really interesting because, you know, it talks about just like her interactions day to day and how people think that working in something like a convenience store is just like not that good of a job or whatever. And I feel like similarly, I'm working customer service and I feel like people look down upon you, and I feel like that book talks a lot about that, and I just really related to that book a lot and I thought it was really good. So I would read something else by her. Apparently like Earthlings is by her also, but a really weird book, so we'll see. But I definitely think that Vanishing World sounds really good. Wild and Wrangled comes out. I've only read Done and Dusted and I loved Done and Dusted. I started reading the second one in that series, but I think this is the fourth one that's coming out, so I'll definitely need to pick that one up. Okay, where was I? The Bright Years. Okay, so this is a book that says one family, 4 generations, a secret son, a devastating addiction. A Texas family is met with losses and surprises of inheritance, but they're unable to shake the pull back toward each other in this big-hearted family saga, perfect for readers of Mary Beth Keane and Claire Lombardo. Have not read any of those people, any of those authors, but again, I feel like I really like these stories about these family dynamics, and I feel like I don't read enough of them. So I want to try and do that this upcoming year. Great Big Beautiful Lie. I mean, this might be like my second most anticipated. I don't know. I thought Funny Story was okay by Emily Henry, but I loved Happy Place. And if this is anything like Happy Place, like I'm there. Joe Abercrombie is coming out with a book called The Devils, which sounds really, really interesting. And I'm really interested to read that. One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune is coming out. And again, I have not read anything by Carly Fortune, but I'm hoping I would like her books. I don't hear the greatest things about them, but her covers are amazing. And I like the ideas of her stories. I just need to figure out if she's an author I can vibe with. The Emperor of Gladness is coming out, which is a new book by Ocean Vuong. I am going to read On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous this year. Like, it is on my list of books to read, and I've only heard good things about his books, and I can't wait to read that one. Can't get enough. My girl Kennedy is coming out with a book 3 in the Skyland series, and I'm really excited to read that. We're gonna get Hendrix's story, so I'm excited to read that. Immaculate Conception by Ling Ling Huang. I love this cover, by the way. It's from the author of Natural Beauty, set in the fiercely competitive art world. I love books about the art world. A novel about an obsessive friendship upended by a cutting-edge technology purported to enhance empathy and connection. Left of Forever. This is a romance, I want to say. Yeah, by Tara DeWitt. It's an emotional, spicy second chance romance, and we know I love second chance. I think like it's about like these two people, they fell in love, they ended up having a kid together, they got married, and then it all fell apart. And I think it's like a second chance for them. My Friends by Frederick Bachman. I loved Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. I've read A Man Called Ova. I've read Beartown. I really like his books. The way he writes is out of this world, and I cannot wait to read My Friends. I actually have an arc of that too, so I'm really excited to read that. Okay, The Love Haters by Catherine Center is coming out. I've read one book by Catherine Center and I didn't really like it that much, so we'll see. Never Flinch by Stephen King. Stephen King's coming out with a new book. Don't know what it's about. Probably will read it eventually. I haven't been reading his newest books, if I'm being honest, but I still want to read everything that he's ever written. So I need to get on that. Okay, this might be my second, third, I don't know. This is a very highly anticipated book, Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I could not be more excited. I love Taylor Jenkins Reid's books, and it's about a space mission and a romance. It's everything I've probably want from Taylor Jenkins Reid. S.A. Cosby is coming out with a new book called King of Ashes. I love Razorblade Tears by him, and I've loved some of his other books too, so I'm really excited to see like where this one's gonna go. I have to read the title of this one. Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab is coming out. I have yet to read a V.E. Schwab book. This is the year. This is the year that I read V.E. Schwab, definitely, because I need to read something by her. Just like my last video, we had to move to my bed so that I could charge my camera. So let's continue the list and then we can get out of here. Okay, so after Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, Riley Sager is coming out with a new book. I think everyone kind of has this like love-hate relationship with Riley Sager, because like I don't think I've loved every one of his books. I have loved some of them, but I haven't loved all of them. So this one, we'll see. I don't even think I know what this book is about. One Train, No Stops, A Deadly Game of Survival. So it's like, what's that Agatha Christie book? Death on a Train, Death on the Nile Train, I don't know, something train, whatever. Murder on the Orient Express, that's what it is. In 1942, 6 people destroyed Anna Matheson's family. 12 years later, she's ready for retribution. I feel like if anybody, Riley Sager could put a good twist on the whole Murder on the Orient Express thing, so I feel like that could be really interesting. There's a book called Sounds Like Love, which I think is the new Ashley Poston book, I am in the minority when I didn't like 7 Year Slip. I need to read The Dead Romantics, but I didn't love 7 Year Slip, so we'll see how I feel about Sounds Like Love. I probably will read it. I have to see like what people are saying about it. Finders Keepers. I think this is like a romance about 2 people who go on this like, not scavenger hunt, but like this treasure hunt, and something happens and they have like a fallout. 2 estranged best friends find that a long abandoned treasure hunt might be the key to a fresh start for both their futures and their lives, and their feelings. Blood in the Water by Tiffany D. Jackson is coming out. I love her books. She's another author that I want to do a like author spotlight on, because I've read a couple of her books. I definitely haven't read all of her books. The last book I read by her, I read Grown, The Weight of Blood. There's still a couple I need to read by her, but Blood in the Water looks really good and the cover looks amazing also, so I'm excited to read that. The Bewitching is coming out by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Her books are also hit or misses for me. I didn't really like Gothic, and I read the other one, Silver Nitrate, so I'm still giving her books a chance. 3 women in 3 different eras encounter danger and witchcraft in this eerie multi-generational horror saga. See, like that sounds really good. My problem is with the execution, so we'll have to see how this plays out. Samantha Downing is coming out with a new book called Too Old for This. She wrote this other book that I absolutely loved. He started it. And it was like this family drama revenge plot that I loved so much. And I think Too Old for This is about the retired serial killer's quiet life is upended by an unexpected visitor. To protect her secret, there's only one option left. What's another murder? I think the ideas behind her books are so interesting, and I think this one's gonna be so good. There's a book called A Game in Yellow. It says Euphoria meets Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke, which I need to read. Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke. I seriously hear so much about that book and I need to read it. It's short. What I heard about this was sex magic. Someone described this as sex magic. It follows a couple who search to spice up their sex life, leads them down a path of madness. And the cover is really cool. There's this book coming out called The End of the World as We Know It. And I guess it's a bunch of authors who are writing stories set in the world of Stephen King's The Stand. I have not read The Stand yet. I will read it this year. New Tales of Stephen King's The Stand. Like, I obviously am not gonna read this book before I read The Stand. It's an original short story anthology based on master storytellers, you know, based on The Stand. And I don't even know like what authors are in it. I don't even think I want to. I'm gonna look. It says, let's see, some that I know: V. Castro, Nat Cassidy, S.A. Cosby, Tanana Reeve Dew, Gabino Iglesias, Amakatsu, Caroline Kepnes, wow, Josh Mallerman, oh, Haley Piper, literally the book I just talked about, Alex Segura, Paul Tremblay, Chuck Wendig. That's cool. Okay, this comes out in August. Maybe I'll read this, like maybe I'll read The Stand and then I'll like read this after. That would be kind of cool to do together. And of course, this is on the top 5 of most anticipated releases. R.F. Kuang is coming out with a book, Catabasis. We don't have a cover yet. Oh wow, Dante's Inferno meets Susanna Clark's Piranesi. Dark Academia. 2 graduate students must put aside their rivalry and journey to hell to save their professor's soul. perhaps at the cost of their own. I don't care what this book is about, I would read it. Like, that synopsis sounds so cool. She's so cool. That's all I gotta say. R.F. Kuang, Rebecca, you are cool as fuck, because the ideas that you come up with, so sick. Apparently we're getting another This Woven Kingdom book, book 4. That's what it said on Goodreads, that book 4 was coming out this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed. We're getting another Lakefront Billionaires book. I don't know when it's coming out. I'm only on book 1 right now. Book 2's already out, but I haven't read that one. I'm still reading book 1, so I'm kind of like iffy about it. I think I like soft DNF'd it, so I need to finish that one. Another book that's coming out that we do have a date for is called Hot Wax by M.L. Rio. Okay, M.L. Rio is the person who wrote If We Were Villains, which is another book that I need to read this year. It says a nostalgic love letter to the 90s rock and roll scene. Hot Wax follows a band of rocker misfits, rivals, and trailblazers on the tour that could have catapulted them to superstardom if it all hadn't come crashing down. I like that. I like that premise a lot. And it says we're gonna get it expected maybe in September. I think that's pretty much it. That takes us through September. I feel like there's gonna be more that are gonna come out from like August through December, and I'll probably do another one of these maybe halfway through the year. Last year I didn't, I just did one for the beginning of the year. I'm gonna end the video here. Sorry for the scene change again. I will get batteries, I promise. Let me know like what books you're excited to read this year. I feel like there's so many books coming out this year. I feel like I have so many books to read here at my home. I feel like so many books coming out. There's just so much to read. There is not a lack of things to read. I want to read so many things that it's hard for me to decide in the moment. And not that I have to decide, but I want to read everything. And I need to realize that right now is not possible. But everything sounds so awesome, and I'm excited because this year sounds like it's gonna be a really good reading year, and it's gonna be a really good publication year for us book people. I'm excited. And again, thank you so much for watching this far, and until next time, bye.